Order today's board meeting on Tuesday, March 12th, 2024 at 7 p.m. We're now going to do our roll call.
Student Trustee Deodar.
Here.
Student Trustee Garcia.
Here.
Trustee Rosenbaum.
Here.
Trustee Khan.
Here.
Trustee Boyd.
Here.
Vice President Hopwood.
Here.
President Davidson.
Here. Okay. We're now going to read, can you guys do it? Can you read the mission and vision and the meeting norms? Because if not, other people can do it. Thank you.
The mission of Albany Unified School District is to provide excellent public education that empowers all to achieve their fullest potential as productive citizens. AUSD is committed to creating comprehensive learning opportunities in a safe, supportive, and collaborative environment, addressing the individual needs of each student.
Meeting norms. Maintain a focus on what is best for our students. Ensure a safe environment for all views to be expressed, treating each other, staff, and the public respectfully. Endeavor to find common solutions to issues through collaboration without sacrificing one's beliefs in what is best for students. Make a commitment to effective deliberation, each one listening with an open mind, while others are allowed to express their own points of view, even if one disagrees.
Okay. I'm going to pause us there, and instead of reading the Pledge of Allegiance, because Dr. Wells always read it and was the loudest voice, I'm going to read this statement. And I really want to appreciate our executive cabinet and our other district leadership for all that they did today in support and preparation and communication. We are devastated by the passing of Superintendent Dr. Frank Wells on March 11th. All of us are mourning and trying to process this sudden and unexpected loss. In the near future, there will be a time and a place for each of us to speak about our feelings and all the memories we hold of this man we valued so deeply. This meeting was not canceled because there are items on the agenda that have legally required deadlines that the board must act on. We ask that you please delay sharing your thoughts and memories of Dr. Wells to let the board and cabinet move through this meeting, fully realizing that it is difficult to do that while we are grieving and our hearts are so full. We meet with deep sadness, acknowledging the empty seat that you see here to my right. I know that Dr. Wells loved this district, and he would want us to do all that is necessary to assure that our students' education can move forward. With that as our goal, we will now continue with an abbreviated meeting. We did not hold a closed session today, so there was no action taken. We are now going to approve our agenda, but I'll take any motions to amend it first.
Move to approve the agenda with
Second.
some stipulations. Are there?
Yeah, some amendments. We're going to amend it tonight. Even though it was Dr. Wells' favorite part of the meeting, we're going to remove our spotlight for tonight, and we will celebrate Marin Elementary so much at a future board meeting. We're going to remove our student board member reports for this evening. We're also going to remove and table to a later date our superintendent and board member reports. And we will be discussing, our student advocacy committee report on student engagement, although we are very much looking forward to that. So with that, we'll take a motion to approve our agenda. Julie, do you want me just to repeat what we're taking off?
I move
Got it.
to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, we are now going to take any public comments for matters not on the agenda. Okay.
I know you mentioned that you would allow for time for everyone to share their thoughts about Dr. Wells. But if it's okay, I'd like to use this opportunity to speak. When we received the message, or since we received the message, my wife, June, hasn't been able to stop crying because Dr. Wells meant a whole lot to our family, as I know he meant to many other folks. He was a decent man living in oftentimes indecent times, trying to do the right thing with oftentimes having been dealt the wrong hand with limited resources. And I was reminded of this in particular because of the meeting of July 14th, 2020, when he was just 1 year and 14 days into his tenure, when the district, because of the pandemic, was in great upheaval, and the Department of Special Education was suffering. And late into the night, that was actually already Wednesday the 15th, even though the meeting started the night before. He said, I'm going to do something unorthodox today. I'm going to pull this item off the agenda, and I'd rather have it delayed so that we can get it right. And even though the solution wasn't the right solution immediately, it set the stage for it to become and make badly needed improvements for the special education department and for the students who benefit from it. So we miss him, and I hope we get another chance to celebrate him.
There will, without a doubt, absolutely be opportunities to celebrate him. Absolutely. Okay, seeing no other public comment on matters not on the agenda, we are going to move on for our approval of the consent calendar.
So I had just a quick question on item 9A. And I think I understand the answer, but I'd like the public to get a chance to hear it also. There's a listing of, under the certificated class and personnel report pending about, oops, I'm on the wrong page. On this third page, I believe, temporary release of some teacher positions. So I just ask for the public to get some clarification.
Yeah, so this is an annual reclassification of personnel. It's item 9A on our consent calendar. And the temporary release portion is releasing teachers hired on temporary contracts who are backfilling other positions. These can include leave coverages or TSA assignments or other assignments. And other releases that you'll see on there are partial and are for employees who have FTE over a 1.0 or over a full-time. These are teachers who've taken on additional duties, and we so appreciate that, and they're being released from those at this time.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the consent calendar or a motion to approve?
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. The consent calendar has passed for this evening, and we're going to move on to our review and discussion item, and we so appreciate our students who put this together and came. This is to extend voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds in local elections. I think you're going to present it this one right here, if that's okay, the other podium. Then we get you on the video. Do you have the slideshow presentation? Trustee Hopwood. We chose to keep this item on, and we so appreciate that you were willing to come and do it tonight. This meant a lot to Dr. Wells. I remember he was so excited when he brought this idea forward, and he really wanted this. He always said that the student voice is the most important voice, and this is another way we can share it. All right, the presentation is forwarding. Okay. I think. And were you able to, they sent the. I don't have a presentation. It just got.
I've just forwarded it on to you. Yeah.
Do you want us to, should we read the resolution while we're waiting? Do you want us to take turns reading the resolution while we're waiting for the presentation?
I think that could be good context.
Okay, great. While we're waiting on that,
There it comes.
we'll pull it up. I'll start us out, and if we just go each one down the line. Whereas Chapter 6 of the Albany Charter of the City of Albany Charter includes the Albany Unified School District Board of Education, and I guess we're jumping.
Whereas the City of Albany Charter sets the method of electing the AUSD Board of Education as well as the Albany City Council, and
Could you move it up? I can't see it. Whereas Objective 2 of the AUSD Strategic Plan is supporting the whole child with the goal that we will foster the social and emotional growth of all students, implementing an array of strategies to
Whereas,
We'll just finish it. To increase student engagement, identify individual socio-emotional and behavioral needs, and apply collaborative appropriate interventions, and
whereas the AUSD Board of Education recognizes that a preponderance of peer-reviewed research has found that 16 and 17-year-olds possess the faculties necessary to make informed and reasoned decisions on voting on par with 18-year-olds, and
whereas as a result of using ranked choice voting, city council and school board elections are on a separate ballot card, and whereas our neighboring cities of Berkeley and Oakland have already adopted measures to extend voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds in school board elections, and whereas the cities of Berkeley and Oakland and the county of Alameda are currently developing a memorandum of understanding, MOU, regarding the charge to these cities for providing 16 and 17-year-olds the vote in the BOE elections in each city. Therefore, be it resolved, the AUSD Board of Education requests that the Albany City Council place a charter amendment on the November 2024 ballot, allowing 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in the Albany city level elections, including city council and the school board elections. And I'll pass it back to you now that we have the presentation.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate your words, President Davidson. If we could switch to the slides now, that'd be great.
And will you just make sure the microphone's on and really speak into it so that our viewers at home can pick it up?
Yeah. Okay. So I want to start out by saying thank you for allowing us time today to present. I'm Alex Lee, a senior now at Albany High School. I'm also a member of the Policing Commission, though I'm speaking for myself here. I'm here today to represent the youth voting team and our project. Next slide, please. Our basic proposal is to lower the voting age to 16 in Albany elections. In this presentation, I'll go through our rationale behind this proposal, covering cognitive capacity, civic and political knowledge, youth civics specifically in Albany, and impact on voter turnout. Next slide, please. When I bring up lowering the voting age, I'm sure that a big question that comes to mind is the issue of psychological development. Are 16 and 17-year-olds ready to vote? Most current cognitive research finds a distinction between what's called hot cognition and cold cognition. Hot cognition is decision-making under the pressure of time. This kind of decision-making can be very influenced by high emotion, stress, and peer pressure. And the ability to handle this kind of cognition doesn't develop well into our mid to late 20s. Teenagers, in fact, have a lesser capacity for this kind of cognition, and this fact is the source of the conventional wisdom that teenagers can't make informed decisions. Next slide, please. However, there is also what is called cold cognition. Cold cognition refers to decision-making free from the pressure of time. And this is the type of decision-making that is relevant to voting, and the capacity for it actually develops by the age of 16. In addition to being, next slide. In addition to being the age at which cold cognition capacity develops, 16 is also the age at which civic and political knowledge develops, along with a sense of political efficacy and interest. Next slide. And if Mr. James, our former teacher, would like to present the next few slides.
I'm Kevin James, and I taught in this district for almost 20 years, and I retired a couple years ago. The mission of the Albany School District is to, in part, to empower all to achieve their fullest potential as productive citizens. The mission of Albany High School is to educate students to become happy, productive, and responsible citizens of a diverse society. And what's being discussed here is what we would call Republican, small r, Republican citizenship, which implies active participation and engagement in one society and its institutions of government. It means voting, it means jury service, but it means much more. Albany High School prepares future students in a number of ways. There's formal instruction in 11th and 12th grade. In 11th grade, under state standards, students consider the major social problems of our time and trace their causes in historical events. In 12th grade, students pursue a deeper understanding of the institutions of American government. And there are things that Albany has done. Next slide, please. That Albany High School teachers do and have done in the past to do these things. There are in-class presentations and discussions and debates on ballot measures. Students have hosted candidates forums for Albany School Board and City Council meetings, and this requires them to research local issues, to talk to all stakeholders across the community about local issues, whether they're the development of the waterfront or the equitable access to education, and then formulate questions. Students have argued and adjudicated, done essentially mock Supreme Court cases, both arguing and adjudicating significant historical and current U.S. Supreme Court cases. And then also there's student clubs, and not just the obvious clubs like trial advocacy or Model UN, but clubs like the science club, clubs like the math club or the chess club. All these things are really exercises in civil society and in learning to become members of organizations that the kinds of organizations that underpin democracy. The bottom line here, this is previewing, is there a good reason to do this? Is there a good reason for juniors and seniors to take on some of the responsibilities of citizenship? And the answer is yes, and as Alex will explain, there's a greater likelihood that if they do, they will be engaged as young adults and will vote as young adults if they start at 16 or 17. And then second, are juniors and seniors able to take on these responsibilities? And here, I taught U.S. government and U.S. history at Albany High School for 20 years. Most of the time, most of the juniors and seniors are thoughtful and reflective people capable of considered deliberation and logical decision-making. In short, they are as able as the population of 18-year-olds and older who vote. Most of the time, most do a pretty darn good job.
Next slide, please. We also have to give credit to the Albany government's existing commitment to youth engagement in government. In Albany, students are full voting members of 6 of the 10 bodies advising the City Council. These are the Arts Commission, the Climate Action Commission, Parks, Recreation and Open Space, Policing, Racial Inclusivity and Social Equity, and the Transportation Commission. On these commissions, students who are 16 and 17 years old have full rights to vote, make motions, create subcommittees, and otherwise act with the powers of their commissions. There are additionally student members who do incredible work on this school board and on its advisory bodies. There are students who are 16 and 17-year-old now, actively working in city government to make this city a better place. Yet, these students cannot elect their city council or school board. Extending the franchise is to do right by these students. Next slide. Meanwhile, 18-year-olds are often leaving home for the first time to enter the workforce or college. At this tumultuous time, voter registration and voting are often not their first priority. This is especially true given the higher administrative burdens to voting that 18-year-olds face. These include needing to request an absentee ballot or re-register to vote with their new address. This means that it is actually much easier to start this habit of civic engagement at the age of 16, when people are more likely to vote. Research from Vienna, where the voting age has been lowered, concluded that the turnout of 16 to 17-year-olds was significantly and substantially higher than the turnout of 18 to 20-year-olds, which makes sense. Next slide, please. The impact of that initial turnout at 16 and 17 is substantial. Research has found that voting in just one election is habit-forming. Voting in one election substantially increases the likelihood of voting in the future. Indeed, the influence of past voting exceeds the effects of age and education reported in previous studies. This is to say that the effect of lowering the voting age is twofold. First, voter turnout is greater. Second, a habit of civic engagement is formed. 16 and 17-year-olds are already trusted to drive, contribute taxes, and work without restrictions on their hours. And research has now concluded that they are additionally ready to take on the responsibility of voting. Next slide, please. And that is why, in brief, we ask that you, the Albany School Board trustees, request that the City Council place a measure on the ballot. A measure to ask voters to consider lowering the voting age to 16. And thank you. And if the trustees have questions, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you so much. Does anyone on the board have any questions about this? Yeah. Vice President Hopwood.
Alex, thank you so much. That was impressive. I have a question, which is, has it been found that youth voting has any impact on the household voting, on parents or other voting age members of the family?
I don't have specific numbers on that. I'm sure they exist in studies, because that's actually a really interesting question on the social political environment. But I do have anecdotal evidence in the fact that it's sort of, in my household at least, it's a family event to get together on the weekend before the Tuesday election to, go over the ballot, to research candidates and such. It's a process that a lot of peers and friends that I know of are very involved in already. And I can, of course, get back to you with the numbers that I do find.
I don't need the numbers. Anecdotal is good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can potentially answer that question.
Any other board questions?
I guess I'll just add to Alex's response just that in a lot of immigrant households, when you have parents who do not speak or write in English, a lot of our parents rely on us to help them fill out their ballots. So many of us have been helping our parents fill out ballots long before we were eligible to vote. So it's definitely something that I think our youth is very aware of, especially amongst the immigrant community, on how to fill out a ballot, what all of these things mean, how to research it. So I think, thank you for the great presentation and for this initiative, and it's very much needed. And I want to thank you, the student trustees, and everyone else that played a role in bringing this forward to us, and I'm excited for it to be an agenda item for us to consider.
On that topic, it's actually a heartening thing to see at polling places and on ballots the variety of languages that are available, though for research purposes, I think a lot of immigrant kids, including me, have experience working with grandparents or parents on filling out the ballot. So thank you, Trustee Khan, for bringing that up. Yeah.
Any other board questions?
It's not a question. I'm just really impressed. I really enjoyed hearing you, having a conversation with you the other day. And I'm really so happy to hear Mr. James talking about students again. He's very well missed.
Yeah. He's also Model UN advisor now, so he still makes an impact, of course.
It's fantastic. We have 2 public comments in our virtual audience, and if anyone in our in-person audience would like to make 3. If anyone would like to step up to the podium and make a comment, we'll do that. I'm going to just start with our virtual first, and you'll have 2 minutes. Go ahead, Preston.
Thank you, Board. Thank you for taking up this item this evening. I'm here as a council member, but speaking only on my own behalf. And I just want to let you know, should you choose to pass the resolution that is in front of you, making this request to the City Council, for my part, I will welcome it. So again, thank you for taking up this item. And with no further ado, on to the next commenter.
Thank you so much. Go ahead. Candia or Candia?
India, yes. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
First off, we want to say that my name is Candia Mosley Gandhi, president of the League of Women Voters of Berkeley, Albany, Emeryville. We had the opportunity to meet Dr. Wells. We also mourn his passing with the board this evening. So I just wanted to say that first off. Now, in terms of the issue that we're talking about right now, the League of Women Voters has a long tradition of doing everything in our power to defend democracy and empower voters whenever we can. And right now, as you know, across our country, we simultaneously are confronting active voter suppression efforts and a lack of citizen participation in voting. As a result, we, of course, are trying to do our utmost to address both of these challenges at the same time. And one overlooked way to do this is by extending the right to vote to include more young adults, many of whom already pay income taxes in the democratic process. In 2016, as was mentioned, the League of Women Voters of Berkeley, Albany, Emeryville advocated for Measure Y1, which lowered the voting age to 16 in school board elections, because it's simply good civics and helps establish a commitment to voting that high school students take with them into adulthood. It's for these reasons and our confidence in the talent and ability of Albany's youth, many of whom we've had the pleasure to work with, we sincerely hope to see the measure on the November ballot to lower the voting age in Albany. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have one more virtual caller, and then we'll get to our in-person. Go ahead, Tanner.
Yeah, I will provide the con view, I guess. So I'm not sure that I'm buying that the maturity of 16 years old is equal to maturity of adults. I don't think we actually buy into that idea from a societal point of view. I mean, if we agree to do this, does it mean that then we should also lower the alcohol drinking age from 21 to 16, or smoking age from 21 to 16? because they have the maturity of doing this. I think we are going too far into allowing our children to be children. I think there should be some limits between children and adults. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead for our in-person speakers.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say that Albany Teachers Association, our rep council voted unanimously to endorse this. So we are 100% behind this. And I think the strongest argument for it is just that we have students like Alex and Nirvan and our student board members, and they're wanting to participate in our democracy. And I think we all know them, and we all want that. And so I think it's a great thing. Thank you.
I'll make this quick. I became a student board member at 15, and I preferentially voted on the school board for 2 years until I was 17. Having a voice on the board substantially influenced my willingness to contribute to civic engagement initiatives district-wide, and I think having a voice in the voting process would allow so many more students to have that similar positive attraction to civic engagement, which, as we know, is such an important part of being a citizen in our society. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Margaret Montag. I am 14, and I will be 16 in 2 years when the next primary elections roll around. And if you're looking for somebody who would be willing to vote as a 16-year-old in those elections, right here. So I am a part of League of Women Voters, the Youth Council. I am also a part of Model UN. I am a part of Mock Trial. So I'm in most of the civic engagement groups that you can be a part of as a high school student. But I'm not able to, fully express my voice civically without voting. And I think right now I don't have the best maybe cognitive skills that I need for this, but I do think that I have opinions, and I know my peers and my classmates and my friends, they all have opinions on things that are going on in our community and really everything that we're voting on. And I think that it would be really beneficial to our community and beneficial to students of Albany High and every kid in Albany to be able to display our voices earlier, just to have that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
As someone who is going to turn 16 this summer, on May 25th, actually, I believe that it would be a great thing that I would be able to vote. But the whole point of democracy is that everyone is included, in that everyone who is affected by a certain issue deserves to have their voice on the table, deserves to have a seat at the table to speak about the issue. And the reason that many wrong things that we can say have happened in American society and politics as a whole is because people who have been affected by political acts have not necessarily had representation for themselves to make their case, and to wholly ensure a fully democratic process that includes everyone, that has a seat for everyone at that table. That is why I think that 16-year-olds should also be able to vote, because then they would also get a seat at the table for issues that affect them, and many issues do affect them, as we've already seen talked about here. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for speaking and supporting or making us think deeper about this topic. This is our review and discussion time, and this will come back at our next regular board meeting for an action. And I would just like to say, I have a 4th grader who's on student council, and he takes so much pride in having a voice on his campus. And every time I sit up here, I think, well, I'm doing this for our students, but I wish I heard more from them, and I would hope that by having this, we would have more connections and more of that reciprocation with our students, because you would be so bought into what's happening. So I really look forward to us bringing this back as an action item. Okay, with that, we are going to move on to our second interim financial report. I'm going to hand this over to our CBO, Jackie Kim.
Thank you, President Davidson. So this item is to review and approve our current financial status of the district and approve the positive certification for 23-24 second interim report. And I'm going to share my screen and just go into presentation. Okay, 23-24 second interim report. So this is one of the routinely required state reporting along with adoption in June, first interim and second interim. And also we are required to do the fiscal close, which is unaudited actual, which means actual numbers. So the first line item, adoption, first interim, second interim, is all budget and projection numbers. And the second line item is the actual numbers. The purpose of this report is analyze and revise operating budget for updated information. And we also communicate our overall financial condition of the district to the board, County Office of Ed, state, and our community for the fiscal period ending January 31st, 2024. So the timing for January 31st, 2024 for the second interim is important because when we open up the school in August, we have now went through about half of the school year. So this is almost like a mid-year update of the budget. So we update revenue and expenditures since the first interim, and this second interim includes the what we call SACS report. It's about over 100 pages that you can see. It's a state requires forms, and 3-year projection, which has a current year projection and next to subsequent years. Okay. The legal requirement. So district will certify as a positive for the second interim of this current year, means that district will meet its financial obligations for the current and 2 subsequent years. Okay, and I'm gonna go a little details about how we did this and how we are doing this. And here is our enrollment trend. As we all know that we get funded based on student attendance, which is really similar to the enrollment, how many students we have, and that's how much we get the funding. And let me just make it a little bigger here. So we are at 23-24 year, we are at 3,574 students, and slightly increased from the last year. However, now we are projecting to have a declining of our enrollment as our Power School give us a report. So this is the rate that we are using, and is showing the declining enrollment, which is our trend in Bay Area along as California trend. And we are going to revisit this projection again with the Power School sometime in the spring, in a few months. So the changes from the first interim. So when we hear from the governors about the state budget and our budget, the COLA, which is the cost of living adjustment, was 3.94% and 3.29% for next 2 years. Okay. Now the governor's January proposal states that the COLA will be 0.76% for next year and 2.73% for the following year, 25-26. This has a big impact for our district that we are still working through this impact. Now this interim, well, and I'm sorry for the typo, it should say the second interim and I have a heading of the first interim, so sorry for the typo. So the second item, there is, we have recorded additional revenue of $2.4 million due to the passage of our Measure G. Thanks to our community for this Measure G, And this has been recorded for not this current year, but for the next year and ongoing. And with that, with the passage of partial tax measure G, we have a 3% salary increases, and it is about 1.3 million annually. And that will be from 24-25 year and ongoing as well. Now, the board has adopted the positions in this $1.8 million expenditure reductions at the last week's board meeting. And this will be effective from 24-25 and ongoing as well. So what it means is, when I said ongoing, it doesn't mean we are going to reduce 1.8 million next year and again the following year. It really means the position has been reduced in 4-24-25 will continue to be in that way. Okay. So this other expenditures, I'm going to just go over what this really means. So as we all know that the utility bill really went up a lot, meaning the electricities and gas. So then that's the experience we have. So this year I had a lot of rooms for that. But for trash and water, it has been going up a lot as well. So that has been increased by 50 and 40K. And telephone expenditures as well. So when I usually budget, I do see the trend. So for this current year, I actually up about 10% increase from the year before, but this went over that 10%, which is very odd when we see our inflation from the state is about 4%, so it went up a lot more than what we are projecting or expecting. The insurance expenditures went up by 35K, the sub cost, and the 2 psych interns. So this is a blessing. What happened was we didn't have our 2 psych interns for last many years, 4 or 5 years, so it wasn't in the budget, but we got blessed and we were able to hire 2 interns, and this actually has a budget implication of 35K. So tightening of the budget creates a more accurate and timely financial pictures, but does not include any unanticipated items, i.e. potential litigations or new expenditures or revenue that we are not aware of at this time. Okay, so this is the overview for our revenue for the districts. So we receive about 81% from the state, and we receive about 11% from our community from the partial tax. And of course, this is for the current year. So you will see now that for the next year, there is another $2.4 million additional dollars for the partial tax. So this is our expenditures. We have, so when you look at our expenditures, you will see that the salaries and benefits are about 82% of our total expenditures. It is because we are in teaching business, right? We will have to pay our educators and our para-educators and to educate our students. So this is the multi-year projection, that the rate that we use for this current and next 2 years. So I highlighted those items in yellow. Let's see if I can make it bigger. So as you can see, the projected COLA, cost of living adjustment, for next 2 years are 0.76 and 2.73. And especially for next year, which is 24-25, it's even less than our inflation. You will see that California CPI, that's what we call usually inflation. So the inflation will show about 2.83%. That's what the state project. And the cost of living adjustment is not even 1%. So this is the issue for the California school districts. Not only us, but this is a big issue for the school districts in California. Okay, and you will also see the very last row, that the PERS, this is our pension system for non-certificated employees. And you will see that it's keep going up, and at year 3 of 25-26, we will be at 28.5%. So what it means is, the district will have to pay about 28.5% of the total salaries to the state to support the state retirement system. So you will hear a lot, like sometimes, well, my salary is about 50,000, but actually what district expenditure is really not 50,000. It's 30% just for the pension, and there's health benefits, so it just costs a lot more than what the salary is. Okay, multi-year projection. So I'm gonna share another page, which is the board backup. You will see it here. So 23-24, the second interim, we are at 6.54%, and you will see that this shows orange highlight items, 3% salary increases starting from next year, and reduction of 1.8 million starting from next year. And you will also see, let's see, the local revenue on top, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe the row 4 row from top. You will see from 10 million to 12.2 million, 12.3 million, so that really covers additional partial tax revenue as well. So you will see the bottom line of a little over 6% and 4% at year 3. Okay. So just wanted to remind our community and the board that in June, which is about 3 months later, you are gonna see the second 2 column plus 1 more year for the next year's budget. Going back to the presentation. So this is the next steps. So we will have our 22-23 year audit report. That's the prior year, so that's happening at the next board meeting. And in May 2024, we will have governor proposed revised budget, which we call May Revise. In June 2024, now we are gonna bring 24-25 year budget. It will be a public hearing at the first board meeting in June, and the second meeting in June will be the adoption. So that meeting will be discussing 24-25, 25-26, and 26-27 year, those 3 years. Now in September 2024, we will have this current year's unaudited actual. It really means we close the book and we are gonna now share the actual numbers. And all of these actual numbers will get audited. Okay, and this is the end of the presentation. If the board has any questions, it's time to.
Okay, any questions from the board? I just want to double check that, so we're required to keep that 3% reserve, and it looks like we're holding with 6, and then 4.
Yes, at this
Okay.
point.
Yeah, and we can remain hopeful that the May revise has some improvement in our COLA.
I hope so, but that's not what I'm hearing at this point, so I'll just be very cautious.
Okay. Thank you, Jackie, for that incredibly thorough presentation, particularly under these circumstances. This is a review and action item. If there's any public comment on this, now is the time. I know everyone wants to talk about our budget right now, so. Nope. Okay, action.
I move that we approve the 2023-24 second interim financial report.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. No opposition, so we've passed the second interim financial report. We've tabled our next item, the board reports. We're now at future agenda items, and we do have to have a discussion because the board needs to schedule a special meeting this week to decide what we're going to do to fill this enormous void right here. There's a couple proposed times and days. We can look at Thursday or Friday of this week. If it's Friday, I don't know people's availability, but maybe we could even do it during the daytime hours if folks are available, or. I think let's just do it, because we're here. We can do Thursday. We could do a Thursday evening. We could do Friday day. Yeah, I'm probably the holdup on that, so I can either do it during my lunch and try and extend that, or take a half day and come and do that, but that's totally fine.
And we'll do that in person?
The plan is right now, I think, to do it in person at the district office. We'll open it to the public first, and then we'll adjourn into closed session, and then if action is taken. This may take us a couple of meetings to really figure out what we're going to do, but at least this is our first opportunity for the board to have a discussion with Marina and our lawyer about what our next steps are, and just kind of formatting our plan of action. Friday, okay. Can everybody do Friday? It's like, are there times that are better, worse?
Available up until 5 o'clock.
Okay.
4:45.
So I guess as late as possible, that does not get in the way of that time.
Okay.
And it gives us enough time.
Do we want to do it at like 3? Is that okay?
That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. Marina, is that okay, 3? Okay, so we will have a special board meeting at 3 p.m. on Friday.
And this is closed session, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is a closed session meeting. Okay. And with that, we will adjourn this meeting, and the public will be notified as soon as there's information available about the district and public memorial for Dr. Wells. And thank you all for being here and for your support. And please know that we're all here. Please reach out. And a major appreciation to our executive cabinet. I just want to say one last thing. I have never seen a team of people come together the way this team came together today. Organized, thoughtful. Every step of what happened today was so carefully done by this team right here. And trust me, they've been at it since like 6:30 this morning. So I just hope that we can give them grace around anything else. Thank you, Trustee Boyd, for always reminding us of that. But please be respectful, everybody, of what they're going through, and acts and showings of support are greatly appreciated. So
I want to thank you for the amount of work you've done today and the clarity that you brought to the board. Very appreciated.
thank you. Okay. With that, we are adjourned.